Hi, I'm Levi. I'm 36, an art director at a mid-size agency, and a divorced dad of two absolute tornadoes named Mia and Theo. I spend my days picking palettes, adjusting margins by half pixels, and trying to make cereal bars look aspirational in 30-second ad spots. But at night, I pack lunches with little post-it jokes and teach the small humans how to measure cinnamon without making it snow. I've always been the solid one in my family, the reliable fixer. Can you take a quick look at this guy for every not-so-quick family emergency? When Dad's contractor forgot to pull permits, I paid the fine. When Zach, my younger brother, wrecked his first car, I bought him a Civic and pretended not to notice when he sold it to buy Yeezys. I designed his startup logo, 3 of them actually. I also built his Shopify store, fixed Mom's iPad, restored all their deleted iCloud photos, and somehow became the silent subscription sponsor for every app, streaming platform, and tech mistake they've made since 2017. I say this not to be a martyr. I say it because none of it was enough. It was a Tuesday night in December when my phone rang. I was packing up the kids' backpacks for the next day. Mia's had a paper snowflake chain poking out of the top, and Theo's had half a candy cane stuck to the zipper. I picked up on the third ring. "Hi, sweetheart," Mom said. Her voice was bright, breezy, already hosting something. I braced. "We're doing Christmas Eve at our house," she chirped. "It'll be beautiful. We've got Brooke helping. She's very particular. You know, minimalist chic. And Zach is bringing her to meet everyone." There was a pause. The kind that isn't a pause at all but a prelude to a decision already made. "So, honey, we think it's best if it's just adults this year. For the dinner, I mean." I said nothing. "Brooke doesn't do well with chaos," she added, softening her tone like it would help. "And your kids, bless them, can be a lot. You understand, right? Just this once. Just this once." I stared at the microwave clock. 7:42. Neo was in the other room, singing off-key to a mangled version of Jingle Bell Rock, and Theo was curled on the couch in dinosaur pajamas, clutching his stuffed triceratops like it was a limb. "Yeah," I said, voice flat. "I understand." And I hung up. That night I didn't sleep. I lay in bed scrolling through years of holiday photos. Wrapping paper stuck to socked feet. Fingerprints on cookie tins. The camera shake of actual joy. None of it curated. All of it real. I thought about image. How I make things look good for a living without making them fake. And how far from that my family had drifted. The next morning, a text from Dad, "Don't take this personally." At noon, the doorbell rang. No heads up, no warning. I opened the door to find all 4 of them on my porch. My parents, Zach, and Brooke. They looked like a catalog. Winter coats in neutral tones. Brooke had her phone out already, like she'd prepped for content. She stepped forward, lips glossy and smile tight. "So," she said brightly, "you're the one who keeps ruining the family brand." I blinked. That was the first time she said it out loud. But it wasn't the first time I felt it. It hadn't started with Christmas. It started a decade ago when I graduated college, got a job, and became everyone's emergency contact. I was the fallback guy. The leave I will take care of it guy. The man who gave more than he ever got, because love, I'd been taught, meant being useful. Now they wanted me useful again, just not my children. Not the noise. Not the mess. Just me. Conveniently cropped out. Mom stepped in, arms folded like a peacekeeper who started the war. "You made me feel terrible last night," she began. "I didn't sleep. Do you know how hurtful that was?" I said 2 words. I replied. "I understand. That's the problem," she said, as if my lack of hysterics was a form of assault. "You're always withholding," Dad added. "Family needs communication." Zach adjusted his watch. He always adjusted his watch when pretending to think. "Bro, it's just one dinner. We're trying to land a partnership." Brooke lined up a photographer and a stylist. "It's not personal. Just branding. The kids," Brooke added, "don't fit." Behind me, a tiny voice interrupted. "Pancakes." It was Theo. Hair messy, socks missing, eyes half closed. He blinked at the grown-ups like they were aliens. Brooke actually flinched. I turned, crouched, kissed the top of his head. "Go sit, bud. I'll make them in a sec." I stood again and looked at the porch. My whole family, arranged like a board meeting. "We just want to do this right," Mom said. "And we're a little tight." Hosting is expensive. 2,000 would take the pressure off. Photographer, flowers, food. Zach smiled like it was a pitch. Just you, Brooke said. No kids. We can do a separate thing with them later. I felt something cold and clear settle in me. Not anger. Not yet. Just distance. I'll think about it, I said. Today would be best, Mom pressed. We've got deposits. Right, Zach nodded. Family pulls through. I've been pulling for years, I said. And then I shut the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't yell. I just let the weight of it speak. Inside, the house smelled like maple syrup and crayon wax. Mia was wrapping presents with scrap paper and too much tape. Theo was humming to himself while eating pancake batter from a spoon. I opened the group chat. The one Mom had renamed Family Immediate right after I paid off Dad's back taxes. I scrolled. Saw messages, demands, Brooke's inspo photos, all beige, all curated. The dinner looked like a hospital fundraiser with candles. I opened my receipts folder. Phone plan, Netflix, Hulu, the $218. Adobe template charge that put on my business card at 3 a.m. I screenshotted the grid. I dropped it in the chat. Just a reminder. I wrote. Mom replied in seconds. Tacky. Zach, we said we'd pay you back. Me, you also said that about the Shopify, the DSLR, the ring light, the iPad, the phone upgrades, the Adobe Suite. 3 dots. Then nothing. Then Brooke, money is leverage. Over family is not the vibe. And right then, something clicked. Something that had been waiting years to click. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're clarity. And I was done being a sponsor for people who treated my children like a nuisance. This Christmas, I wasn't giving in. I was taking back. Asterisk. I didn't open the door when they rang again. I stood in the hallway, forehead pressed against the wood, while outside I heard muffled voices, Mom's high-pitched urgency, Zach's low whine, Brooke's flat influencer calm. Inside, my kids were laughing over sprinkle choices. I had cocoa on my sock. The contrast was almost laughable. Instead of answering, I walked to the kitchen, opened the cabinet above the bowls, and pulled out the spiral-bound notebook where I keep the kind of receipts that don't come with barcodes, notes, charges, screenshots. I added a new line. December 21st, asked for $2,000 to host a dinner my kids were disinvited from. Below it, I wrote 4 words in all caps, kids are not negotiable. My phone buzzed. Family immediate group chat. Mom, Levi, please don't be difficult. Dad, we need a decision by 3. Zach, Venmo is fine. Brooke, sending inspo. She dropped in 3 images, white candles, a white linen tablecloth, a white ceramic bowl of bleached pin cones that looked like something from a funeral for a snowman. I stared at the images and thought, this is what they want to trade my children for. Silence, symmetry, and sponsored vibes. I scrolled back through my camera roll. Paper chains, unevenly cut snowflakes, a banana sliced into the shape of a dinosaur on Theo's plate. None of it matched. All of it mattered. So I started typing. Me, I'm not paying for a photographer to capture my kid's absence. Silence. Then, Mom, you're blowing this out of proportion. Be an adult. Nay, I am. And then, from that steady place inside me I rarely accessed, I typed the list. I'm removing you from my phone plan at the end of the billing cycle. I'll send you the transfer pin. I'm changing my Adobe password and will report any unauthorized logins. Zach, stop using my business license. It's fraud. Streaming accounts will be signed out today. I will not fund events my children are excluded from. If any future charges appear on my cards, I will file a fraud report. I hit send. 3 dots blink. Stop. Started again. Then Dad threats. Really, me boundaries. Zach, over $2,000. Me over a pattern. Mom, you're making this hostile. Your children will hear about this. I looked at Mia, dusted in powdered sugar, and Theo, now singing to a waffle. My heart went steel. Me, they'll hear I protected them. Then the doorbell rang again. I opened it. They stood there like a united front, but I could see the cracks. Mom's mascara smudged. Zach shifting his weight. Brooke's phone in her hand, already filming in case I acted unhinged. I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. I'm done being the bank, I said calmly. And the stylist. And the silent one. Host whatever dinner you want, but not with my money. And not at the cost of my children. Zach's jaw twitched. You're blowing up Christmas over a vibe. No, I said. You blew it up when you made family conditional. Brooke's voice was thin. This is why we didn't invite the kids. And this, I said, is why I didn't invite you in. Dad leaned in with the old knife, the disappointed tone. Levi, son, think of the bigger picture. I said. And it doesn't include shrinking my kids to fit in yours. And I closed the door. Again. But this time I smiled. It's strange, the quiet that follows a hard line. It's not sad. It's clear. Like the house itself exhaled. That afternoon, Mia and Theo and I made pancakes. We added too many chocolate chips. We watched the old claymation special where Santa looks like he's made of Play-Doh. Theo built a Lego dinosaur Santa and insisted it deliver presents by volcano. Mia cut more paper chains, now trailing like streamers across the ceiling. The house was chaotic. It was perfect. I kept the phone off until evening. When I turned it back on, it lit up like a slot machine. Missed calls, voicemails, group chat meltdowns. Mom had gone full dramatic martyr. Dad used phrases like legacy and obligation. Zach sent a pay now request for $1,850 with the note Christmas team support. Brooke texted, money is leverage is not the vibe. I scrolled. I read. I didn't reply. I just went to the kitchen, made tea, and read the list again on my cabinet door. No is a complete sentence. Family is a verb. And I am not a wallet. Asterisk. The next day started quiet. Then the consequences arrived. Not mine. Theirs. At 8:12 a.m. Dad texted, phones aren't working. Is this you? It was. But not the way he thought. I hadn't even pulled the plug yet. Turns out Zach, in a move of either desperation or astonishing stupidity, had tried to upgrade his iPhone. Using my account at 3:00 a.m. the SIM transfer auto-deactivated Mom's phone. When I called the provider to ask what the hell happened, the rep read me the shipping address for the new phone. Zach's apartment. He was still trying to siphon perks while calling me difficult. I canceled the order, triggered a fraud alert, and told the rep to mark all changes as owner only. Then I texted the group chat one image, a screenshot of the phone order with Zach's address on it. Me, nice try. Zach, wow, petty. Me, legal. By mid-afternoon, an email from Adobe hit my inbox. New sign-in detected. Location: Zach's city. I hit sign out of all devices, changed the password, and enabled two-factor with a physical key. Then I texted Zach directly. If you need design software, buy it. He replied with a vomiting emoji. That was the last text I'd get from him for a week. At 5 p.m. the doorbell rang again. This time, it was Brooke. Alone. No camera. No makeup. No curated vibe. Just beige coat, messy bun, and frost-pink cheeks. I don't want a scene, she said. Then stop showing up at my door, I said. She glanced past me into the house, where Theo was dancing to Jingle Bell Rock like a malfunctioning elf and Mia was wrapping more paper chain links around her head. She exhaled. Look, I get that you're protective, she said, but you're tanking something big. A brand offered us product. They like clean lines. Babies with sticky hands don't fit the vibe. They're not babies, I said. I didn't mean, she tried. You did, I said quietly. But I'm not your problem. You just met my family. I've known them my whole life. They're very good at spending other people's money and calling it love. If you want that, fine. But my kids aren't props you can crop. Brooke's eyes flicked to the paper chain again. You could style the kid day, she offered weakly. We already did. I said. Mia came flying into the room with one mitten and a foam sword. Brooke blinked. It's perfect. I added. She hesitated. Then, we won't ask you for anything else. I know, I said, and shut the door. That night, Mia curled into my lap and whispered, did we do something wrong? Grandma said we're a lot. I felt something inside me break. And then refork. No, I said. You were loud, and silly, and brilliant, and not for anyone's brand. Someone made a grown-up choice that wasn't kind. That's on them. She nodded. Kids understand things adults spend whole lives trying to justify. Then she said, can we keep the paper chain up till March? Deal, I said. The next day, Mom posted a story. Candles, beige, dim lighting. A glimpse of Zach giving a toast. A cousin DM'd me screenshots. Looks like a hospital woke up and decided to be festive. I laughed. Harder than I had in weeks. The day after that, The money talk finally arrived late and loud. Mom called first thing. Her voice pitched to martyr. We had to put catering on the credit card because you wouldn't help. The bank flagged it. We're over limit. I'm sorry you planned something you couldn't afford, I said. You'll reimburse us, she said, like it was fact. That's what sons do when their parents can't cover costs. No, I said. She gasped. Your father is very disappointed. Cue the background shuffle. Dad took the phone. Levi, your brother stepped up. He covered the photographer out of his own pocket. A second later, my phone buzzed with a new pay now request from Zach. $1,850. Memo, Christmas team support your share. I laughed. Out loud. I couldn't help it. I'm not joining your co-op, I said. You had a meeting about branding and decided to bill me for not attending. You'll regret alienating your family, Dad said. Low, grim, like a threat from a Marvel villain. Click. They hung up. At noon. Mom's friend who treats drama like cardio posted a Facebook status about ungrateful children ruining their families. A cousin met again, you okay? Also, Zach tried to borrow my camera. Said you owe him because he invested in your career with free promo. Lol. I replied with a single emoji. At 3 p.m. The knock came again. Not Brooke. Not my parents. Not Zach. And Linda. The family's quiet rebel. The one who once lit a cigarette in the middle of Easter brunch and said, I'm too old for fake gratitude. She handed me a tin of gingerbread and Theo a pack of glow sticks. Merry Kid Christmas, she said. And then she said this, I told your mother she was out of line. She said you were cruel. I said you were right. She stayed for an hour. She didn't fix anything. She didn't ask me to fix anything either. She just listened. And when she left, the house felt light, not festive. Not curated. Free. Asterisk. The morning after Aunt Linda brought glow sticks and gingerbread, I woke up early. The house was still quiet. The kids were curled up in a single bed like puppies, surrounded by construction paper snowflakes and a giant plush carrot for reasons no one had explained. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and created a folder I labeled simply, Evidence, not because I planned to sue, but because clarity is hard to hold onto when people are constantly telling you the sky is green and you're the problem. I dragged in screenshots. The $218 charge from Zach's fake free trial. The Venmo Christmas team invoice. The iPhone ordered to his apartment. The emails asking for money for events my kids were explicitly excluded from. The streaming services, the Shopify plan, the photographer invoices, included photos. Not the curated family shots from Mom's feed, but my own, Mia covered in flour, Theo asleep on a pile of books. The paper chain stretching from lamp to bookshelf. Then I added the list from my cabinet. I don't pay to be treated badly. My kids are not negotiable. No is a complete sentence. Family is a verb. By noon, the silence broke again. Another knock. This time, it was my parents. No Zach, no Brooke. Mom's coat was buttoned wrong, and Dad's eyes were tired. They looked like people who had practiced a speech in the car. We want to try again, Mom said without a greeting. Sunday. Bring the kids, Dad added quickly. If anyone mentions image or asks for money, we leave. It felt like a trap. But it also didn't. Not fully. We'll come by for an hour, I said. Exactly 1 hour. If anything goes sideways, we go. They nodded. No protest. No bargaining. Just quiet agreement. We went. The kids wore what they wanted, me on a tutu over sweatpants, Theo in a Batman cape and to left socks. The house was suspiciously calm. No photographers. No beige tables cape. Just dry cookies and a half-hearted roast. Zach wasn't there. Mom said he was busy. I didn't ask. At minute 43. She knelt down to Mia and Theo, and she said the magic words. Not I'm sorry you felt. Not but it was for a reason. Just, I made a mistake. Simple, human, real. And the kids, being kids, forgave her instantly. Because their default setting is open, I let my shoulders drop by 1 inch. At 59 minutes, she asked about summer plans. Family trips, budgeting. I stood, smiled, and said, we're heading out. No scene. No lecture. Just the line. We left. That night, Mia asked, what was the moral of Christmas this year? She asks it about everything. Like life is a fable, and I'm supposed to be some wise old all dispensing seasonal truths. I thought of candlesticks, paper chains, and pay now requests. I tucked her in and said, love isn't a filter. It's messy, loud, and it doesn't ask you to shrink. If someone says you have to be smaller to fit in their picture, you get a no frame. She nodded like this was obvious. And we're keeping our paper chain up till March, she declared. Deal. I said. I stood in the doorway a little longer than usual. Then I went to the kitchen, opened the cabinet, and read the list again. This time, not as a reminder, as a vow. A week after the 1-hour dinner, Zach finally broke his silence, not with an apology, with a text. Brooke and I are taking a break. You happy? That was it. No context. No emotion. Just 6 words soaked in resentment and entitlement. I stared at it until the text shrank into its own smallness. Then I put my phone down and built a Lego spaceship with Theo that looked like a flying toaster. He named it Commander Pancake. Mia painted stars on the cardboard launch pad. We gave it a countdown and everything. The next morning, I was sitting in a client meeting when I noticed something strange. I wasn't tired. Not the kind of tired that lives in your bones. Not the fatigue from playing emotional goalie for other people's chaos. I felt, dare I say it, good. At work, I'd stopped staying late to patch other people's files. I stopped apologizing in emails for bothering people with deadlines. I delegated. I trained my junior designer instead of just fixing her mistakes. I protected my time like it mattered. Because it did. A week later, I updated my family group chat settings to muted indefinitely. The silence was glorious. Then came the ripple. Mom sent an invite to Sunday dinner. To talk this out, I replied, when you're ready to apologize to my kids for making them feel like a problem, we can talk. Not before. No answer. Instead, she posted a series of thinly veiled life lesson quotes on Facebook about bridges burned and children who forget. I scrolled past. Zach posted a carousel of beige dinner photos with the caption, Building Legacy. No distractions. Just grind. In one image, his wine glass caught a reflection of an empty chair. I stared at it longer than I expected. A cousin DM'd again. That empty seat in Zach's pic. It's haunting. You okay? Also, he's trying to borrow my DSLR. Said you owe him because you made him look like a brand. I sent her a laughing emoji. Then I printed a sheet of paper and taped it to the inside of my cabinet. Just below the list. Title. Things I returned. The ring light. The iPad. The second-hand DSLR. My silence. My availability. My spot in their narrative. I put everything in a bag and left it on their porch. The note read, returning your stuff. Please return my piece. That night, I got an email from a former coworker. Your LinkedIn post about boundaries. It made me rethink how much I was giving for free. Just wanted to say thanks. It hit me harder than I expected, because that's what all of this came down to. And paid labor. Emotional, financial, practical. Years of being used as a power source for people who never once asked if I was okay. And the second I stopped, I became the problem, because to them, my worth was only in what I gave. But now, I give differently. A few weeks later, I took the kids to Aunt Linda's house. No agenda. Just hot cocoa, mismatched mugs, and a dog that shed like it was auditioning for a wool factory. Nia asked if we could bring glow sticks every time. Theo named the dog Butterscotch Wiggle. We stayed till bedtime. On the drive home, the kids sang loudly and off-key. I didn't shush them. I turned it up. The final thing I did was small and huge. I made a password-protected PDF. I called it Family Ledger. It holds everything. Names, dates, amounts, screenshots, not for revenge. For clarity. Because if they ever try to rewrite history, I'll have the receipts. But I don't think I'll need to. Because now, I know what I'm worth. And I teach my kids to know theirs. Every morning, when I open the bowl cabinet, I see the list. It keeps growing. I don't pay to be treated badly. My kids are not negotiable. No is a complete sentence. Family is a verb. Love isn't a filter. We decorate with paper chains and banana dinosaurs. Anyone who tries to shrink us doesn't get access. Boundaries are clarity, not cruelty. No one gets to crop us out and keep the credit. Loud kids are proof of life. And maybe, just maybe, One day Mia or Theo will stand in a room full of people demanding too much and say what I finally learned to say: we already have a family. It's us.